Okay, so I am going to continue factoring. This time I want to factor a trinomial. And I'm going to start by rewriting my trinomial on the side. Q squared plus 8q plus 15. And to factor means I need to find what times what gives me this trinomial. And it needs to look in the format of something in parentheses times something in parentheses. Binomial times a binomial. Alright, to figure out what goes in the front of my parentheses, I look at the front of my trinomial. What times what gives me q squared? Well, there's only one thing. Q times q gives me q squared. Okay, now to figure out what goes at the end of my parentheses, I need to look at the end of my trinomial. What times what gives me 15, but adds up to give me positive 8? Well, 1 times 15 gives me 15, but 1 plus 15 is 16, not 8. And 15 minus 1 is 14, which is still not 8. So that's probably not a good combination. 3 times 5 gives me 15, and 3 plus 5 gives me 8. So let's try that. I think positive 3 times positive 5 gives me positive 15, and positive 3 plus 5 is positive 8. Just to make sure, I'm going to multiply the inside and the outside. 3 times q is 3q, and q times 5 is 5q. And if I add this up, that gives me 8q, which is what I wanted. That's what I have in the center. I have a positive 8q. Alright, and then again, q times q is q squared. 3 times 5 is positive 15. And if I multiply the inside and the outside, and I add it, that gives me the middle, which is 8q. So my answer is 8q plus 3 times q plus 5. Alright, let's do one more. Again, I'm going to start by rewriting my trinomial on the side. I have n squared plus 9n plus 18. I want it to look in the format of a binomial since a binomial. To figure out what goes on the front of my parentheses, I look at the front of my trinomial. What times what gives me n squared? N times n. So that's the front of my parentheses. Now to figure out what goes at the end of my parentheses, I look at the end of my trinomial. What times what gives me 18, but adds up to give me 9. Alright, so let's try different combinations. 1 times 18 is 18. 1 plus 18 is 19, and 1 minus 18 is 17. So that's not good. We need 9. 2 times 9 gives me 18. 2 plus 9 is 11. And 9 minus 2 is 7. That's still not a good combination. Let's try another one. 3 times 6 gives me 18. And 3 plus 6 gives me 9. Okay, so let's try that. I have positive 3 times positive 6 gives me 18. And if I add them, I get positive 9. Just to double check, just to make sure, 3 times n is 3n. N times 6 is 6n. And if I add this, 3n plus 6n is 9n. So again, this works. N times n is n squared. 3 times 6 is 18. And if I multiply the inside and the outside, and I add it, I end up with positive 9n, which is what I wanted. So my answer is n plus 3 times n plus 6.